To the NFL, and the franchise tag window opens up today, and it takes us to Cincinnati, where the Bengals are once again expected to use the tag on T. Higgins, and doing so would give the team and the player until July 15th to negotiate a long-term deal. Meanwhile, you got Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson. They're entering the final year of their contracts. Both will command really top-of-the-market money, which takes us to a game we'll call Good Idea, Bad Idea. Harry, I'm going to start with you. Would the Bengals locking up T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson be a good idea, bad idea?
I think it's a good idea. We're talking about straight ballers right now. Having a number one wide receiver on the right side of the field, but also having a number one wide receiver on the left side of the field. And then when you look at Trey Hendrickson, a guy that led the league in sacks, you keep all three of these guys and increase your chances. Even though they have other holes, you do not let this talent leave out of your building.
All right, let's talk about this.
Yep.
What do you think?
First of all, if you want to talk hockey, I was an enforcer for the Junior Solar Bears in the 90s.
Devin said, I will not be the minority today.
Yeah, so I can do that. I did the dirty work. I was like Harry on the football field.
Right.
I was able to do it all. The headline yesterday was that the Bengals intend to sign long-term deals with these three players. My 2-year-old intends to sleep through the night every single night. The baby monitor does not lie, okay? He doesn't. So for me, I'm looking at this Bengals team, and I'm seeing decades of spending and the way they operate that shows me that they're not going to keep these three guys. They just don't spend in a way that, frankly, is befitting of a contender. You can waste Aiden O'Connell's window, whatever you want to do. Other franchises can do that. You can't waste Joe Burrow's window. And Joe Burrow has said the championship window is as long as he's there. I agree with them. But the way they've managed their roster, letting Jesse Bates go to Atlanta a couple years ago and becoming an instant Pro Bowler, that to me is not befitting of Joe Burrow. Every other contender in the AFC, Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, they go all in every year. They swing for the fences every year. And for me, for Joe Burrow, they're wasting it. They're not going to put enough guarantees in Jamar Chase's deal for him to sign the Justin Jefferson kind of type deal. They're going to lose at least one of these guys.
Let me go to Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, good idea, bad idea if the Bengals are trying to sign all three of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think tagging him, preface this by saying tagging him makes sense for a tag and trade scenario. Look, I think to Kevin's point, in terms of, look, the idea that you want to do it, Jamar Chase is going to reset the wide receiver market. So you're spending a massive amount of money to keep Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, because of, the interest that'll be out there, is going to get top dollar wide receiver one money. And then you can't afford to lose Trey Hendrickson because he's easily your best pass rusher. So, I just think when you get to it to that much money at the wide receiver position, that's also not how you win and you build competitive teams, especially in the division they play in. Look at the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game, but if he's not protected, it really doesn't matter who's on the perimeter. And so I think that, the idea in terms of the better idea to build around Joe Burrow to not waste, his best football is to build inside out. Start at the football and then move away from the football on both sides of the ball to give Joe Burrow a chance to compete against the elite quarterbacks in his conference.
So when you look at the ownership and Mike Brown, the way he constructs things, he has to get with the 2025s.
Yes.
He has to get with the times in so many words, right? Because if you would have signed a Jamar Chase last year, you could have saved yourself a lot of money. Now you have a guy that won the Triple Crown and is going to demand a lot more than what you probably would have paid him a season ago. One of the biggest losses for them last season, also in my opinion, was Joe Mixon at the running back position. So you talk about Jesse Bates. I'm going to talk about Joe Mixon and how he could have helped a Joe Burrow last season and not have everything be on his shoulders. These are the mismanagements, in my opinion, when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, in which a lot of people call them the cheapinati Bengals, when they do not want to spend money.
So what have they gotten wrong from a team-building standpoint? Because you look at this team, they lost 4 of their first 5 last season, and then win 5 straight and get on a run. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, my God, at some point Joe Burrow's going to say, man, you got to get me out of here. I'm putting up big-time numbers, and we're not winning. What have they gotten wrong?
Okay, what have they gotten wrong? Joe Burrow himself said the Eagles seem to pay everybody. Yeah, they do, because the Eagles sign guys as soon as they can.
They don't wait to the last minute.
The price of a superstar in the NFL is never going down. And in this regard, the Bengals are the Cowboys' weirder, older cousins, okay? They're the same type of team where they say, hey, we're just going to kick the can down the road. We'll sign our franchise guy later. No, the Eagles sign guys immediately. That's how they're able to stack that kind of talent. The Eagles also pay cash bonuses, more guarantees than the Bengals do. If you're comparing those two franchises, the reason the Eagles window lasts forever and the Bengals one might be closing at some point, it's because Howie Roseman is the best GM in the NFL and he knows how to retain talent. The Bengals have no idea.
Tim, your thoughts? What have they gotten wrong?
Yeah, listen, I think you could look at this. Look at the way the Chiefs won games early in the season. It wasn't an offensive-led team. Like wasn't like they were doing all kinds of stuff. It wasn't about Patrick Mahomes' stats. Go back and look at Matthew Stafford when he was in Detroit. He was putting up crazy numbers. All that stuff is great, but they weren't winning football games. Like the idea isn't to have your quarterback throw for over 5,000 yards and be in the MVP conversation. The idea is to win football games. It happens on both sides of the ball. How you allocate your money matters. And look, there's a reason they fired their defensive coordinator after this year. So I just think that, as we talk about this, we talk about the stars, and rightfully so. But even the stars need help. Like Josh Allen needs help. Like the stars still need help, and it can't just be in the form of perimeter talent.
Okay, so then, Tim, let me stick with you. Welcome back to Get Up. We are coming to you live above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17. Harry Douglas, got Kevin here, Tim Hasselbeck's here with us, PK Subban as well. But you know what, guys? Let's start in the NFL. Big day. Big day. Franchise tag window opens up today. And it takes us to Cincinnati, where the Bengals, once again, expected to use that tag on T. Higgins. Doing so would give that team the player until July 15th and negotiate a long-term deal. Meanwhile, you got Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson. They're entering the final year of their contracts. Both are going to command really top-of-the-market type money. Kevin, let's talk about those Bengals, the trajectory the Bengals are on. What do you think about them trying to get these three guys and yet keep Joe Burrow?
Today is Christmas for the Bengals because they get to franchise tag a guy, and they do this all the time because they cannot sign these guys to long-term deals. And that kind of says it all. They are botching Joe Burrow's window. It is a football tragedy. Geography is destiny for quarterbacks. And these guys go places, and then every GM, owner, every player, the towel guy, the Gatorade guy should say, we're going to win this guy a championship. That has not been the case in Cincinnati with their roster building in particular. They don't give enough guarantees later in the contracts. They don't spend enough cash. It's just not befitting of a championship caliber team. When you look around the AFC, everybody's all in. I once said to Brett Veach, the GM of the Chiefs, I said, hey, how do you go all in? When do you know when to go all in? And he said, I don't understand the question. We're all in every year, because we have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and all of these guys. The default should be all in. The Bengals are never all in, and the fact that they're trying now to get Jamar Chase under contract, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson, and scrambling shows you that they were never serious in the first place.
Is it realistic they can re-sign all three of these guys? And then what does this mean, you think, for Joe Burrow?
Is it realistic? The way Mike Brown operates? No. But you like the idea of it being floated out there.
Sure,
sometimes they can just be floating ideas out there just because. But because Mike Brown has not innovated continuously, time and time again, and been up with the times, it's highly unlikely that this happened, that they signed T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson. I think that's also what's been hindering their football team.
Yep.
There was a guy by the name of Joe Mixon that they let walk out of the door, and he's now in Houston playing a huge role in that football team. Well, when I look at the Cincinnati Bengals last season, they were 30th in rushing. And Joe Burrow could have used someone to assist him on the offensive side of the ball.
It's realistic for the Rams to sign those kind of players.
Yep.
Realistic for the Eagles to sign those kind of players. Not realistic for the Bengals. That's who they are.
Are they wasting Hall of Fame career of Joe Burrow, you think, Tim?
I think the trajectory is, to Kevin's point and Harry's point on this, sometimes you don't need to wait until the guy's contract is up to figure out if he can play and if you should re-sign him. Because when you do that, you basically are just, handing that player all kinds of leverage to, get top dollar on the market. And so, some of the other, like Philadelphia is a great example. I think Kansas City, a great example of it as well, is that as soon as they know somebody that they've drafted can play, they hurry up and try to extend him. And oftentimes the player likes that initial security, especially as a young player, if they haven't made a lot of money so far. And so when you look at what Cincinnati's done, Cincinnati's been like, all right, like let's push this down the line, with T. Higgins. And as we do that, oh, look what's happening. Like Jamar Chase is up at the same time. And oh, by the way, like because we saw that coming, look, we've let other good players on the defensive side of the ball, or Joe Mixon, whoever it is, leave. And so that's just not the right formula to build around a superstar quarterback. It's not. Like the Kansas City example is, oh my gosh, we know we can play. Like, let's hurry up and do this. It's the Philadelphia model. Hey, we feel good about this. Let's hurry up and build around it and extend guys that we know can play.
Since we're talking about quarterback, let's play a game.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.